Welcome to Electric Evolution with Liz Allan. This podcast explores the transition to net zero and the systems driving real change in how we move, live and power our world. Every week I sit down with the people leading that change, those offering insight, innovation and impact in many ways people don't fully see until they hear their stories. If you're ready for real conversations that inspire action and drive change, please like this video, subscribe to the channel and join us on this journey, and let's cut through the noise and build a better future together. Hi everyone and welcome back to another episode of Electric Evolution. So today on this episode I've got a lovely lady that I met at Global Women in EV in February, and I've got Lois Loxley from Zemo Partnership, and she is at the project, one of the project managers there. Lois, I heard you were on stage with Jill Noel at Global Women in EV, and I just contacted you straight away afterwards because I said I want you on the podcast because I was so impressed with you. So thank you ever so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's very exciting. My first podcast. So Global Women in EV was my first panel, and this was my first podcast. So lots of firsts.
And that was amazing. Honest, like I say, you on the panel were just all of the panel sessions were brilliant. So let's start off by just talking, because you're a young lady. You're a young lady. You're not an old lady like me, are you? And you come into this sector sort of not too recently, but actually I just wanted to kind of get your background about what you did before you worked at Zemo, and kind of what were the reasons for you to come into the sector anyway?
So I've been in the sector now, I said this on the panel, I've been in this sector, but really sort of any sector, since October, November 2024, mm-hmm. So still relatively new. I was freshly graduated, just come out of uni that summer, and my background before that has always been in hospitality. I worked in hospitality for 8 years, so I started in a fish and chip shop when I was like 15.
Bless you.
Day after my 15th birthday.
Yeah.
And then he wouldn't employ me the day after my 14th birthday. And I begged and he just wouldn't do it. Day after my 15th birthday. Then I worked in fine dining for quite a long time. And then eventually, while I was at uni, I worked at this really lovely organisation, which was a coffee shop, bakehouse, roast house, but it was owned by a sustainability consultant. It's somebody who had actually been in sort of like corporate sustainability, had fallen out of love with corporate structure and wanted to go and make a real difference, and felt that the best way to do that was through food. So I came into that and worked my way up to general manager by the time I was in my final year of uni. So that was
that's really good.
I really enjoyed it. I loved hospitality. I love chatting to people, and it was just chatting all day long. It was great. So yeah.
Sound like me.
Yeah.
I love the old chat. But let's just step back a second as well, because I want to talk about your degree, because I was kind of like really interested in your actual degree itself, because that has a bearing on what you're doing now, doesn't it? Yeah. But also let's talk about your mum as well, and how she kind of influenced that sort of the way that you chose your degree.
So I studied Hispanic Studies and Politics, which is loosely basically Spanish and politics, but rather than just the language, it was kind of the study of things in Spanish, like film and poetry and all sorts of things. But yeah, it was it's a bit of a random kind of how I ended up there, but I've always been really political. My parents always say that my first word was no. I just always loved to argue and kind of just be like, say what I think.
I love that.
And then, when I was younger, my mum, when I was born, my mum had postnatal depression, and sort of went to the doctors to seek some help for that, and they said to her, you need a hobby that's just an hour a week where you can just sort of like guilt-free leave my brother and I with someone else, and just do something for you. So said, like, what have you always wanted to do? And she said she'd always wanted to learn Spanish, so she started going to night school to learn Spanish once a week. And I'm 24 now. She still goes, and she just, when I was sort of going to secondary school, I'd say she sort of like gently pushed me towards languages, but I didn't really have a choice. She was just like, found it really bad that, all over the world we go everywhere and we can speak to anybody in English, and that is really audacious and actually quite terrible.
Yeah.
So yeah, she pushed me to learn Spanish, and then basically finished GCSEs, thought, well, I don't really know what to do, I'll do a Spanish A-level. It was the hardest thing. That jump from GCSE to A-level was crazy, and the jump from A-level to uni was super easy compared. It was so much easier. So after I finished my A-levels, I just kind of went, I can't really just do politics on its own. What am I going to do? So I'll do Spanish, and then I ended up, kind of living my mum's dream, really, which was really lovely.
Bless, I love that.
Yeah.
So then going, I suppose, because like you say, you like talking and going working in kind of like hospitality. That's perfect for you, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
But where was that? So when you worked as general manager, how did you then decide to kind of transition over to Zemo?
I loved that job so much, but I'd gone as far as I could go. Yeah. And I was only 22, and I was like the second or third highest person in that company. There was, and they weren't going anywhere because it was owner and co-owner. There was nowhere else for me to go within that structure. And I am somebody that when I've completed it, I'm bored. I get so bored so easily. So I just started to feel this like really intense sort of dissatisfaction with the whole situation. And it wasn't just doing coffee. I loved it because I worked with the Refugee Council while I worked there. So we used to have,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, so we used to work. We used to have this program where we would take on a cohort of refugees every year and train them to either make bread or be pastry chefs or make coffee.
Wow.
Yeah, and some of them were Spanish speaking, so I ended up working with them, negotiating contracts, helping them find housing, things like that.
Wow.
I really enjoyed it, but the day-to-day was just not fulfilling enough. So I knew that I hadn't gone to university to do a degree to kind of make coffee for the rest of my life. So in my final year, I'd chosen to focus on environmental politics, and it just clicked with me so much because it's just the morality of it. I just really cared about it. I thought it was really important. Again, my mum massively comes into this. She just was talking about sustainability to us in the house all the time before anybody else was in sort of more generally. So it's just a big part of my kind of like moral compass, and I thought, okay, I really enjoy that. I think that I needed something that I knew would make a difference as well, and this is an area which I know will make a difference. So yeah, it was super attractive to me.
Do you know that is an amazing story? I love that, and I'd like to think that both me and my husband. I'm trying not to get emotional. Again, I was doing this before, wasn't I? Before we started recording. I'm hoping that me and my husband kind of influence our son in the same way as your mum has in that on that side, because it does make a difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, really it's hugely important. It's something we all need to care about. It just doesn't make sense to me what's going on the world stage at the moment. People, denying that climate change is a problem, or just kind of denying that they need to do anything about it. I really strongly believe that personally we all need to take responsibility.
Absolutely.
So it was something I was very happy to be able to be paid to go try and make people care about it, basically.
Fantastic. So tell me about Zemo Partnership and how. So for those that don't know about Zemo, do you want to just kind of give a little bit of background about Zemo Partnership and then talk about your job?
Yeah, so we are a non-profit organisation that represents the whole of the road transport sector, not just kind of like the fuel sector or cars or CPOs. We represent everybody, and our main aim is our kind of like tagline is to accelerate transport to zero emissions. So we bring together government, industry and academia to come together to find the solution that we can take now to decarbonise the road transport sector. is essentially,
Interesting.
in a
Okay.
nutshell, is what we do.
Yeah, no, I like it. I like that. And so, and what have you been, so as project manager, what are you kind of involved in on a kind of a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. So I came in as marketing communications executive. That was my first job at Zemo, which was a really great way in because I didn't actually know very much about the transport sector or about the stats or the policy or anything around it. I knew about climate change, obviously, but yeah, not this sector. And I always say when you come into the sector, you should be given an encyclopedia. There are so many abbreviations. Like, it's
Yeah, oh my God.
insane.
Yeah,
You just
yeah,
feel so lost when you arrive. You're like,
yeah. You've
what's
just
one
said
part?
CPO then, and some people wouldn't.
Yeah,
You were talking
exactly.
to them,
You
they wouldn't
become,
know that that was a charge point operator, and
yeah,
actually, a charge point operator is an organisation that, la, la, la.
yeah.
Yeah, I
There's just
totally
so
get you.
much to learn, and coming in at that sort of marketing exec level was great because what I was doing a lot of was writing emails about this stuff or writing content about this stuff, and
Wow.
it kind of helped me to learn a lot of those abbreviations, a lot of the context, and then just sort of, yeah, got involved with as much as possible. Said to everybody, where I'm allowed to get involved, please involve me. I won't know. I'm the first person that everyone else. I come with no ego. I don't know anything. Please, but let me absorb as much as you've got time to teach me, basically. So yeah, end of last year, I was promoted to project manager, and I mainly work across the public affairs and comms, events. Yeah, my role very much involves convening the sector and convening government to come and talk to each other, to enact changes that are sort of actually going to make a difference in reaching that net zero target for road transport.
So go on, explain that when you're saying so. What does that entail? I mean, seriously, how do you do that? In
Yeah,
what situations are you bringing people these? Because they're quite different,
yeah,
aren't they? And
yeah,
trying to get everybody together in the same room or to, at
yeah.
events and things or.
But it's important. The fact that people are so different and that
Mm,
this is so multifaceted is important. It's exactly why Zemo is is so important, and it's uniquely placed to do what it does because the the journey to net zero requires a holistic approach. It requires everybody to talk to everybody else. You can't do this in silos,
no,
and everybody
exactly.
tries to do this
Yeah,
in silos, and it's
yeah, yeah.
infuriating. So we essentially exist as the interlocutor to break down those silos, if that sort of makes
Mm,
sense. Is
mm,
it a challenge to get everybody in the same room to listen to each other? Absolutely, 100%. Which is exactly why my job exists. But yeah, we're quite successful at bringing together this sort of like wide coalition, this wide cohort of organisations of people. We're very lucky that a lot of people want to listen to what we've got to say. But we do it through all different means. We'll do parliamentary roundtables, the Moving to Zero series, which we're doing at the moment, which is in collaboration with Welsh Government, which is all about decarbonising the commercial transport sector in Wales. It's been highly successful. We're doing a series of events at the moment, travelling around Wales, and it's been great to get out of Westminster. We're based in Westminster, deal with Westminster Government a lot. It's been great to go to Wales and kind of, yeah, work with this whole new group of people. Yeah, and just, yeah, that holistic piece is really, really important. So yeah, we do it by a lot of different means. Some of it's online, some in person. I prefer in-person engagement personally. I just think the back and forth is just so much more effective. But yeah,
So what are some? So you've just said about the moving to zero, and I know a little bit about them
yeah,
anyway. But do you want to just talk about some of the topics that you've been covering? Because you were in Carmarthen, weren't you,
yeah.
last
We've been
month?
to Wrexham, we've been to Carmarthen.
Yeah.
We were in Newport the year before. Um, yeah, we're sort of covering everything. To be honest with you, every technology. We're not, as an organisation, we're technologically agnostic. So we understand that different things are going to work for different people. Especially in Wales, has been really interesting because it's a much more specific use case. It's just a really different landscape to England. those got a lot more sort of like rural areas, and people. I always say that I think we need to talk to people like humans, and I put my hand up at a parliamentary roundtable to a member of parliament and said this, because they sort of sat there going, how are we going to make people understand that they need to fully electrify their fleets right now? Right. Well, I think lecturing them is probably number one where not to begin. It was a great exchange, because this MP actually said, he was like, do you know what, you've got a really fair point. I was like, you're talking from this omniscient point of view, you understand this landscape, but where we're going to in Wales, for some people, some fleet operators, logistics operators, this might be the first step they've ever taken on considering their decarbonisation journey. I think it's about having a bit more compassion in that communication, honestly. I mean, that's something we need across the board everywhere and all over the world, isn't it? But yeah, I think it's a really important piece in all of this. It's not getting so frustrated at people that they don't understand it and they don't. Well, of course you need to do this, but we know that because we're omniscient and we're in this sector and we sit in the science and we talk about this all day, every day. But if you are a family-run logistics operator with the tightest margins imaginable, A, when are you going to have the time to taken out of your very busy schedule to go and learn about this? And B, you're very nervous about your profit and loss, and rightfully so. So yeah, it's we're taking it to people rather than just sitting in Westminster and going, everybody listen to us. We're taking it to people and trying to make a big difference. So yeah, the next event is in Cardiff on the 26th of March, and that is going to be about urban logistics, last mile delivery. So again, just talking about lots of different options available to us. So not just like vans or electrifying a van fleet, but also e-cargo bikes, and the way that people can move around towns and cities. So that holistic approach again is still kind of at the centre of what we do. It's a very long answer, I'm so sorry.
No, don't apologise, seriously. No, I was going to say what you just said about bringing it across. It's about your delivery. It's about not assuming, isn't it? You can't assume. I've said this loads of times to people who work in the sector. You can't assume that just because you know something, or you know a lot, or you're very niche, that everybody else knows that.
Yeah.
And if it's not general knowledge, it's not.
Which is not, because you're not taught in school about. I mean, I don't know how the curriculum's come along now, but I was not taught about climate change or electric vehicles. It's just not part of somebody's, especially like, depends where you live. There's lots of different like applications and things you need to consider. I live in East London. I live just outside of Zone 1. Like, I can get everywhere by public transport. This is the other thing, sort of telling everybody, yeah, get the bus. It's like, yeah, because a bus comes every 3 minutes for me. But where I grew up, in a village in Kent, bus used to come. Sometimes you were lucky if you got one 3 times a day, So So it's kind of understanding that, just everybody's coming at this from a different position.
And it's like you say, it's about understanding the limitations of people and businesses and areas, and and not, it isn't a one size fits all for this.
Absolutely not.
Everybody, and going back to what I said about not just assuming that we've had wet fuel, we've had combustion engine vehicles, for a hell of a long time, over 100 years now, and 100 years of knowledge has built up about these things. And say for example, if we're looking at just an EV, just passenger vehicle, there's tyres, there's windscreen wipers, there's things, and to fill up the fluid and stuff like that. But you can't expect somebody to jump in an EV, no matter whether it's a van or a car or a truck, and expect it. They won't know the differences. Unless you've actually educated them. And I really don't mean that in a patronising way. I mean, it's that if we say it in a different way, knowledge transfer.
Yeah.
It's transferring that understanding and not just assuming that that person's going to look on the internet, and half the time what they get isn't always true anyway. You know, so giving them something accurate from the horse's mouth that they can then pass on.
Which is hard to get because, you know, like government, the messaging's not consistent across government, for example. So where are people supposed to go for, like you say, straight from the horse's mouth? Who's the horse?
There's a lot of horses, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
And a lot of mouths.
It's quite difficult, and I think it's exactly what you were just saying, like, the thing that we keep at the centre of everything that we do is taking people with us and the just transition. So this transition has to be, it can't just work for the very wealthy.
No, exactly. It's got to be inclusive.
For the people that can afford to put a charger on their driveway, for example. Like Martin Tugwell from Transport for the West Midlands, so I've heard him articulate it perfectly so many times, and he always says a lot of people in the area that he's kind of like operating in are worrying about how they're going to afford a loaf of bread that week. They're not worrying about how they're going to fit in an EV charger on their drive, and that's an important part we should be talking about 100%, but this transition needs to work for everybody in a way that is fair. And that needs to be considered. I think when we do talk about this, we do sort of leave out, we talk about people, we already assume people can afford, the people who can afford to buy a car, to drive a car. And there's actually, forget about this whole other, everybody needs mobility. Everyone needs mobility. So it's how and it's not an easy task at all, but yeah, we're a small team at Zemo, but we are doing our very best to take that around the world and make people listen, basically.
So for the moving to zero kind of sessions and stuff. So what are your kind of intended outputs or outcomes that you're wanting to achieve from these sessions?
From the sessions, education, that people will come away feeling more confident about what to do on their decarbonisation journey, or that they might now know where to look for the tools, or you know, that we are an open resource, you can come and talk to us, or we've put you in the room as 100 other people on the same journey as you, some who've already done it, some who also haven't begun, some who are also terrified. So partly it's an education piece. Ultimately, it's about the decarbonisation of commercial transport, though. So we're actually trying to affect some change, some material change, in Wales, but beyond. We're hoping that the Welsh Government have been absolutely excellent and sort of like really communicative and great to work with, and so keen. And it's the hope that other governments, local, regional, Westminster, will kind of take the initiative of that and also start really listening to us so that we can help people affect material change.
And it's brilliant that the Welsh Government are taking the lead on this anyway, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, isn't it? Because you see something like that, and I've seen this with local authorities. So at a real local level, you kind of see one organisation or one company or one government or whatever, you know, part of the country doing something really well. But then I don't know what happens. There seems to be something that, and I'm not, oh God, this sounds awful, but it doesn't quite fall apart, but it doesn't get replicated. It's like, you know, oh, no, why do people kind of go off and try and reinvent the wheel?
Yeah.
When you've got one place that does it really well. And I know that it's different things to different people, but actually it just feels like you can take at least some of those bits that worked and use them here and yours, and do you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, exactly. And that's exactly why what we try and do is we try and be that middleman, basically, is probably how we think of ourselves. In bringing those people together, convening people. It's our convening power that really is our power. We're a membership organisation, so but you know we exist for the sector, for the transport sector. Like I said, we're not just representing any one part of that. So yeah, we try and be that kind of middleman that goes, oh, really funny you mentioned that, because we know this person that's also doing that thing, and
Yeah.
linking
Yeah.
everything up. So
But
yeah,
that's, I was
really,
going to say, yeah, that's the point of networking as well, isn't it? Because I
yeah,
suppose when they're there, that you know, if you've got somebody who's got no clue, and you've got a person sat next to them that's, you know, further ahead, it's
yes,
that knowledge sharing as well, isn't it? It's
yeah,
kind of
definitely.
working together, not seeing everybody else as a competitor, but actually working in this is cohesion, isn't it?
Yeah,
Really?
it's the breakdown of those silos again. Yeah, super important.
Yeah, and like you said, having silo reduction, it's massive, you
Yeah,
know, and like I say, I think the fact that you're pulling all of this together is a credit to all of you who are
yeah.
involved in this.
No, we're lucky we've got a team of. I mean, one of the one of the greatest things about Zemo for me, you talk to anybody who's worked there, and everybody's worked there forever, which is such a green flag. If you're new to
Yeah.
your to a sector, you'll kind of go, okay. It's not a turnover of staff. This is people who just genuinely really care about the environment and who really know their stuff. Jonathan Murray, who is the currently acting managing director of Zemo, he's been involved with Zemo. Again, we are hilarious. He's like, yeah, in 2005, and I was sitting there like, I was 4. He's like, we did this
My
trying to
son
keep.
was born in 2005, so yeah.
Yeah. But that's the thing is everyone has literally like so many people have been there or involved with Zemo since before I was born, and are still working there, are still involved with it.
Wow. Oh my
It's
word.
just an organisation which has just got so much knowledge at its heart. John is like leading the organisation really fantastically, and just to be for me being. You know, I'm sure we'll get onto this kind of very early career, is such an amazing space for me to be in because there's just so much for me to learn. There's these people who are literally just beacons of knowledge who have watched this journey. You know, if you think about the decarbonisation of transport 20 years ago compared to now, they've really seen it.
Mm.
This is still a nascent sector, but they
Yeah.
were in it when it was like pre-nascent even, you know.
You just mentioned something about learning, and actually, I wanted to bring up something. You know, we've talked about the fact you were going to talk about this anyway.
Yeah,
I wanted to bring up what you spoke about on stage at the Global Women in EV Day
yeah,
in your panel about something you learned specifically about how you were treated as a young woman
yeah.
join, you know, in the sector. Do you want to just give us a little bit of a
Yeah, I think.
view of it?
Well, I was kind of when I came into the job. Again, I was very lucky because at Zemo they just kind of like just put so much trust and faith in me straight away, and were like, off you go. So I went to Parliament, kind of like 2 months into the job maybe, and again just so excited to like learn and be there, and I sat down at this meeting, and this man sat next to me. And he turned to me and said, he said, "Oh yeah, I take it you're the secretary. I take it you're here to do the minutes." And I said, "No." He was like kind of like, oh, like kind of like, where can I get a cup of tea? And I was like, I don't know, not my business, not my problem. Like I'm here for this meeting, and he couldn't wrap his head around the fact that I was there to contribute to the meeting. I'd been invited. It was an APPG meeting. I'd been invited by the Secretariat for the APPG, and he just didn't. He just couldn't wrap his head around. So he said to me, he asked me to get my LinkedIn out to prove to him that I did work at this, although I wasn't some sort of intruder. And if you want to talk about imposter syndrome, actually being treated like an imposter. He wasn't like parliamentary security or anything. He just did not want to accept that I was allowed my seat at the table. And I got my LinkedIn out, and he's going, you know, who's your boss? Kind of like, what business have you got being here? And I got my LinkedIn out, and I proved to him because I felt like I had to. And I'll say now what I said on the panel, which was, I wish I knew then what I know now, which is that said nothing about me and everything about him, because I came away from that day thinking, I need to quit and I need to go back to coffee. I do not belong here. I cannot, I can't work in this sector. I'm not good enough to work in this sector. I'm not good enough to be in these conversations. I'm not good enough to turn up and try and learn. Yeah, it was super. Yeah, it was not a nice experience. And it's that I've experienced that type again. Yeah, that feeling of like people assuming. I don't want to say people assuming. Yeah, people assuming that you're there to make the tea and coffee. I don't want to say that because I value the people that are making the tea and coffee.
No, I know you.
But it's like,
how dare he?
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but how dare he? That's shocking.
Yeah.
Was he anybody? I mean, don't name names, obviously. But was he anybody of standing or anything, Lord Blah or somebody?
No. It was somebody from like a commercial organisation.
So how if that was a question from somebody who's in Parliament from a commercial organisation or somebody representing a commercial organisation, I hate to think what is going on in that commercial organisation for them to be allowing that person into the session.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you say, it kind of identifies a lot about him. So I hope you got over your imposter syndrome
and getting there.
Talking to.
I'm getting there. I've spoken about this. So Jill Noel, who, and Rich as well, Rich Smith. We've been working with them with Zemo. They've been helping us deliver some of the Moving to Zero events as part of the programme. But just now become really kind of like close, trusted colleagues and mentors. Which has been really amazing, and it's great because it's kind of like two different levels of experience as well. It's someone who's sort of like that 10 years above me, kind of quite aspirational. You know, I can see myself there in a few years' time, and somebody who I'm just like, oh, you know, Jill is just like the queen, so it's just like great to have her on board, kind of thing. And yeah, I spoke to her, I told her that story, and a couple of others when I sort of first met her, and how I was just struggling to feel like I belonged, or that I was like. It was kind of, she sort of noticed it in me, I think. She'd go, oh, what about this? And I'd be like, yeah, but just to let you know, I'm not sure about this. And but I'll try. And she's like, you don't need to caveat everything you say with that. You are allowed to be here. You're okay. Like, but I do get in my own head about my own age in this sector. But yeah, she said to me, will you come and be on the panel for Global Women in EV Day? And I was like, my heart just like fell out. I was just like, oh my god. I was like, my BPM was like 190. I was just like,
oh god. Hell. Oh my god.
And I was like, that's exactly why I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
Because I am so terrified. Like, what you asked me to do terrifies me. And she said who I was going to be on the panel with. It was like, so all these really esteemed people. I sat on that panel. I felt like I was with celebrities. It's like people who in the sector who I look up to so much, or I reference their work, or yeah, it was amazing. So yeah, I've been lucky that what goes around comes around. I've never heard of that man again. I've never seen him again. I've never seen anyone platform him again. So yeah, hopefully he's gone for good. But
well, but if you see him again, you know what to say. You know, or just to remind him. Do you remember me? Do you remember? Oh my god. Sorry, this is a chick flick, guys, if you're listening. But do you remember Pretty Woman? You know, the film Pretty Woman, you know, where she goes back to the store and wears really posh stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's that vibe for sure.
It is, isn't it? And actually, do you know, it's funny, like we talked earlier, I am a lot older than you, but I remember starting my own business, and I was in my late 20s when I started my own business, and I did a lot of networking, but I felt like, because I knew at the time I looked younger than I did then, you know, so late 20s, I looked kind of mid 20s, and even then I did feel kind of really quite awkward.
Yeah.
Thinking, and some of it was me, but some of it was what you kind of get back from, you know, other people, that, oh, what are you doing here? You're too young to be running a business, blah blah blah. Yeah. But you're saying this now, and this is over 20 years later. You know, and that to me is really sad.
Yeah, it's not come far enough. But that's exactly why something like Global Women in EV Day existing is so powerful and such. I think everyone in the sector was like, oh, thank you so much. Like, it's exactly what we need. Because you do, it's also when you enter a room, and a lot of the things that I do, because a lot of it is heavy haulage, it's incredibly male. I'm very used to being one of maybe 2 women in the room in like a 100-person capacity room, and that's not actually anybody's fault. It's just the people that work in that sector.
Yeah.
And you are just you're always aware. 99% of people, which have been so lovely to me, but you just have got you can't hide your age because it's on your face. you look young.
Yeah.
You're young.
Yeah.
You are acutely aware of it, I think, all of the time, and it took me quite a long time to understand. I mean, probably only in the last 4 months have I felt like, no, actually, I'm qualified for my seat at this table.
Good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, thinking about young women that are, following in your footsteps, or kind of looking at moving into the kind of the transport sector, or what do we need to be doing to actually encourage women, more women coming through?
There's some really basic things. Really basic things. I think Abby Graham, who was also on that panel, said it amazingly. Like, so when I first got offered my job at Zemo, I turned it down.
Right.
Because I went through the whole interview process. It went super well. Everyone was lovely, and I went, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. I'm not who you're looking for. Because there was things like it said about MailChimp in the job description. I'd never done MailChimp before. I look back now and I'm so annoyed at 22-year-old me, or 23-year-old me, for going, you can't do MailChimp, because of course I know now that I was capable of doing MailChimp, but when you are, I just didn't want to like waste someone's time or money on a resource that I didn't think I could fulfill. But when I stepped into the role, I outgrew it really quickly, because I learned a little quickly, and I was good at what I did. But the job description, and this is nothing on Zemo at all, this is just job descriptions in general, can be really intimidating. You need having somebody behind that hiring process say to you, no, you can do this, like, just chill out, you actually can, you're going to be absolutely fine. And I was lucky that basically Zemo rejected my rejection and came back to me, and actually in the email back to me said to me, I totally understand why, it said to me, if this is a gut feeling and you actually don't think this job is for you, don't take it, but I think you've got imposter syndrome. That's what was said to me in an email back to me.
Wow.
And that's the first time I'd heard
of
imposter syndrome.
That's very brave of that person at the other end to say it as well. That's
100%.
really good. Yeah.
And I'm exposing myself a bit, because I don't know if any of my colleagues actually know this story. But yeah, and I came back and had another phone call, and they sort of just like calmed me down and were like, we really want you, please, like, don't reject us. And we don't think you should reject us. I think it's a silly decision. And they were right, totally right. And it's like, yeah, some of how when you're a young woman, there's that thing, I can't remember what the stat is, but sort of men will apply for jobs where they're only like a stupidly small amount qualified, but women won't apply for jobs and they're like 100% qualified.
Yeah.
And I was that totally was me. So it's kind of like having someone in that hiring process who's really compassionate about the position you're in, saying to you, oh, you don't have 100% of the skills because you're not the finished product, but we like who you are, and we can see the skill set you've got. For example, being able to put like a young woman into a room and network with 100 hauliers, not everyone can do that.
No,
it's like you're buying in that skill set part, and then you're going to kind of like mould the finished product, and it's making people during the process feel like it known that you're not looking for everything. You don't need to be 100% everything. This is what we're really interested in. And I think that's one thing. I think when people come on board, there's such simple things that if you've never worked in like a a 9 to 5 job before. I remember my first day, I was like, can someone tell me, like, when can I go for lunch? And I don't know when to go for lunch. And no one had thought to tell me because they just, no one was being unkind, but it just was like, they were, oh my God, of course, like, you don't know. And it's not something you think about because people obviously, you know how to take your lunch. I'd worked in hospitality where if you get lunch, you're lucky, and if you do get lunch, you're sitting on a step outside next to
a
bins, shoveling down something that a chef has put together for you, and that's how it works. So I just didn't understand some really basic things like that. But mainly it's the former point of just having a really compassionate, intimidating hiring process, which makes you feel like you need to jump through 100 hoops, which mine actually wasn't. The Zemo process was nothing like that. It was so friendly and informal. But in the end, it was me who turned it down because I couldn't do MailChimp, which is so stupid.
Yeah, but people don't know what... I mean, you would have looked at what MailChimp is and thought, oh, I can't do that, looks too complicated.
Yeah.
And basically, for those of you that don't know, MailChimp is a way of actually filling in information and sending off newsletters, isn't it? So, but you didn't... You kind of put yourself in that, I can't do that. And like you said, you weren't fitting, you were probably fitting 99.5.
Yeah.
Sort of, fulfilling everything. But you tear yourself apart about that little tiny bit that you couldn't.
100%.
Yeah.
So I think, I think that's honestly one of the biggest points is making sure that young women understand that, it's just that job description is... You need to put certain things on a job description, but maybe like a caveat, which is like... I actually saw a really good one from DFT the other day, being shared on LinkedIn, that was kind of like... It got a lot of heat because it was for a policy advisor, but they didn't need any knowledge about... it's for EV stuff, they didn't need any knowledge about EV, prior knowledge. And people were like, why does a policy advisor not need... A junior policy advisor not need any knowledge on the subject... on the subject area? And it was someone really high up at DFT replying, being like, because I want to find the right person that has the right personality that I can mould into who I need them to be, kind of thing. And it was great. It was a really positive thing to see, and it's more of that messaging, I think.
I like that.
Would be really helpful.
That makes a difference coming from someone and actually them replying to those kind of comments, because you've always got people on social media who think they know better than the person posting in the first place. You have to just take that as read, don't you? I know I'm in a WhatsApp group, and I know kind of Sarah Sloman from Paythrough, she's got a YouTube channel now and she's getting grief on that. So there's always someone. We've had it with this, when Electrical Evolution goes out on YouTube, we have stuff like that, or people making stupid snide comment. My son's actually deleted messages before, that people have put on because he doesn't want me to see them, bless him. But actually, and I've kind of stopped now from responding. So I don't see the point. You're not going to change their minds if they want to do that. They wouldn't do it if they were face to face with you.
No, the grass is green where you water it, isn't it? So decide where you're going to put that energy, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So just pick your arguments, because otherwise, what's the point? But now you're in the job. You've been in the job a little while. What excites you about everything that you're doing and everything that's going on?
The number one thing why I'm so glad I started my career at Zemo is because, like I've mentioned obviously quite a few times, we are not just on one sector or on one technology. It being a holistic kind of look at the road transport sector means that I am getting such a holistic education of what's going on. Like, I describe this all the time. When I finished university, I really understood quite quickly that in order to get like a big girl job, you were going to need a master's, and I was not in a financial position to go and do a master's. I was also just burnt out. I didn't want to go and do any more education, and I started to think about, okay, what am I going to do? I need to find something that's going to behave like my masters, essentially, that's going to give me an education. And Zemo is just the absolute perfect fit because I get an education every day in everything we do. I deliver these movements, or I'm part of the team that delivers a lot of these events. But I sit down at every single one of them and I learn something. And it's only by kind of being in the room that I've learned so much. So I think I'm so excited about the fact that, you know, it feels like I'm on the cusp of something quite big. There's a lot available to me, and that's really exciting, and especially coming into like a nascent sector as well. Yeah, it feels like I've just literally, I think I'm going to be one of those like squiggly career people, and I grew up like my dad is 100% one of them, and I feel completely confident in being one of them.
I'm the same, don't worry, darling. I get you.
So I feel excited about my upcoming squiggly career and all the people that I'm going to meet. I've met some amazing people. Like, I feel like my network is really kind of like growing now, and what people are doing, like the innovation that's going on in the sector, and it's crazy. It's so exciting.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you one final question then. If there was one thing that you could do to help improve the sector, or even if not necessarily you, or you know, if you could kind of change one thing in the sector, I know we've talked about quite a lot, you know, quite a few bits, but what would that one thing be?
That is a really big question. Do you know what? It's not something I'd change, it's something I'm going to say I think needs to be maintained.
Okay.
And that is, I think this is really important now with the rise of AI. These entry-level positions are absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
Because you could get an AI comms exec, I'm sure you could now, and save yourself the starting salary of someone like me. But those are such a key stepping stone into the sector, because like I said, there's not a huge amount of like EV specific education available to people in university, in school. They need a way in. There needs to be a way to put your foot in the door, and I think these sort of exec level jobs, junior account manager, whatever it might be, jobs are so important. And without them, without me sitting there and doing MailChimp, which for some reason I was terrified of, I would never be here. I would never have got my foot in the door. I just really, really think that's so important that organisations don't go, okay, here's all the money we could save if we let AI do this job, which can be done by AI.
Yeah.
And actually, what's the future return on investment if we invest in this person who's fresh out of university, who's got no idea what's going on, who doesn't know when they can take their lunch, and he doesn't know anything about MailChimp? What is the value of investing in that person? I really urge, like, any of these, especially sort of these big corporate structures who can definitely, afford the type of technology to outsource that. Please don't, because you won't get talent, you won't get the right talent. People will be too intimidated to come into the sector. And also you'll get a classist issue. You'll get people who could have afforded to go and do masters, who have then got the subject knowledge to go in at project manager level. You won't get people, you will only get a lot of middle class kids who have been able to afford, parents being able to help them out doing masters or whatever, and you will miss out on a lot of talent. So I really do think that's important.
I like that. I think that's really important. I am an advocate of AI, but not replacing people in that way. We still need people. The human touch is really important, isn't it? 100%. Like you say, supporting graduates coming through from university, because just because you couldn't afford to do a master's shouldn't exclude you from anything.
No, that graduate space is dire at the moment. I mean, seriously. I applied for 66 roles and I heard back from one, and it was Zemo. And you are competing with AI. I was working 5-6 days a week whilst trying to do those applications. It is exhausting. There is not those opportunities. A degree is not worth what a degree was worth when my dad went to university, for example, when he guaranteed you a job. I think the graduate job market is something like the worst it's ever been since before World War One or World War Two. It's something that bad, genuinely.
Wow. Oh my God.
So I just think really consider about the talent you're investing in, and you make people know that you don't need to be the finished product, and don't replace the comms. Someone could, or you could 100% get a system that could come in and automate all of your MailChimp newsletters and write all of your press releases or whatever, but don't.
No, exactly. And actually, it's really important to actually, to make sure that, going back to the people side of things, it's hard. I get why people want to use AI, but AI isn't the be all and end all, is it?
I couldn't do elements of my job without it as efficiently as I do. Of course I couldn't. Anybody who writes copy or does events or whatever, or ideas generation and things like that. It's a really important tool that makes my life so much easier. But yeah, it's making sure that we don't get rid of that tier that could be replaced, because that worries me a bit. Because if that hadn't have existed, I'd still be making coffee 100%.
Oh, bless you. Oh my God. Well, you're not. You're a Zemo, and you're doing a bloody brilliant job.
People that are 100%, but yeah.
No, I know, but I totally get you. But you're where you are now, and it's brilliant. And I look forward to seeing you rise through the ranks over the years, darling.
Thank you so much for being a lovely ally and mentor. It's just lovely when you've got people who've kind of been around before you to come and hold your hand a little bit and give you some advice and have a chat. It's really, really lovely. That's massively important. So thank you so much.
Bless you. No, honestly, you are going to be one of the final few episodes that I'm recording. So I'm so over the moon. That's why I wanted to get you on, and I said this on the last podcast. We've been going for over 3 years now without a break at all. So Electric Evolution will go on a sabbatical in a few weeks' time. So just to say thank you, Lois. You've just been amazing, and I want to just, congratulate you, because I think if young women of your age can follow your lead and and be determined and do all the things that you're doing now, then it'd be wonderful.
So much. It's so lovely.
So yeah, thank you. And to everybody watching and listening, this isn't the last episode. There's going to be a few more. I am going to keep reminding you though. But yeah, we're still on LinkedIn. I'm still asking you to like and subscribe and share, because we've got 180 odd other episodes. So thank you for watching and listening. Thank you, Lois. You've been an absolutely amazing woman. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Thanks for watching Electric Evolution with Liz Allan. If you've enjoyed this episode, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. If you're a charge point operator, local authority or stakeholder in EV charging, I'd love to talk to you about our Charge Point Evolution framework. It's designed to help you create a seamless EV driver journey, boost utilisation and maximise your return on investment. Alternatively, if you know someone who'd be a great podcast guest or might be interested in sponsoring an episode, you can email me on liz@fullcircleci.co.uk. Thanks again for watching.